Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Nick from forexfornoobs.com with the daily analysis. Today is Thursday, the 25th of April, 2019. Time is 10 a.m. here in the UK. You're looking at a CAD CHF daily chart. In today's analysis, we're going to be looking for price action setups across pretty much all of these pairs to the right here. But we're going to kick things off with looking at some news, just see what's coming up. That way we're aware. Today we got at 1:30 p.m., which is 3.5 hours away, core durable goods coming out of the US. Yeah, I mean, that could affect markets, but generally speaking, not in a big way. Tomorrow we have Chairman Jordan speaking, which could affect it could affect the Swiss franc, I guess. But again, yeah. Basically, look, let's just sum this up. For the rest of this week, we don't really have that much important news. Unless you're trading CHF, then you might want to watch out for this one. But if you're not trading CHF, then there's pretty much nothing that's that important. Advanced GDP is somewhat important sometimes, but again, if we're trading the higher time frames, I don't think it's going to affect us that much. Lower time frame trading, if you're doing 1 hour or below, of course, watch out for core durable goods and advanced GDP because, on the smaller time frames, you have smaller stops, which means that swings that appear as minor on the daily chart might actually hit your stops on the 1 hour chart or below. Right, so first things first, this CHF trade, CAD CHF trade, I shared, when did I share this one? Monday? Sorry, Tuesday? I believe it was Tuesday. I honestly don't think many people entered this one purely because it was a weird pair, CAD CHF. I just don't think many people entered. Trade ended up going well and hitting targets, so if anyone's still in it, it still seems to be headed down after that brief pullback. I would just say hold on to it. Wait for it to come back down to support again. But you do want to close out around the support area because it is a pretty strong support area. And it looks like overall this is trending up. So I wouldn't really expect it to break through the support area that easily. So if you're not out yet, I would suggest getting out down there at that support area. I guess I'll keep it marked as green for now. Right, so AUDUSD. AUDUSD has dropped down. It's hit a new support area I've placed. Well, it's not really a new support area. Well, I guess it is. It wasn't on my chart last week. But I'm placing it here because we do have a bounce there. We do have a wick bounce there. So I didn't actually check if it has much history beyond that. I guess there's some bounces throughout here, but nothing major. Price is stalling out there now. I'm not too sure if I'd want to go long here. There's just to the upside. So basically, this is what I'm thinking. Let's say we were to enter a long trade here, right? We have some pretty strong resistance just above, and there's pretty much no room for this trade to make decent profit before it hits resistance. So I'm not going to do anything with this one. If you really want to go long here, maybe on a lower time frame, you can get a better entry. That'll give you a better risk to reward ratio by the time it hits resistance. So there is potential on a lower time frame. Therefore, I'll keep it marked as a potential. But on the daily, it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. I'm not confident about that at all, and I'm highly unlikely to enter that myself. New Zealand JPY has hit support, stalling out on support right now, but yeah, so it's been stalling out pretty much since 5 a.m. yesterday. It's been stalling out for some time. Just give me a second. I'm trying to like think this one through. We're looking at this one in yesterday's analysis as a potential. Look, it's stalling out. You could theoretically, if you wanted to, approach this on the 12-hour chart as a trade or perhaps a lower time frame. And it would give you a pretty decent risk to reward ratio. Perhaps on the lower time frames, on the 8-hour, it might get even better. So there is some potential here. I'm going to wait for the daily. I'm just not too sure about this one. It feels like price is heading down quite fast. I don't really want to counter this strong bearish move. I'm going to wait for the daily and just see how this plays out. I want to see how this daily candle closes. New Zealand USD, very similar stuff is happening, but this one looks a lot better. Just has a lot more room to the upside. So let's say, just in theory, we were to set an entry there after the close of this daily candle. That's important. Stop loss here. We'd have a free risk reward ratio, which means we could be a bit more liberal with our stop loss. You know, get a safer stop in. Wider stop is a safer stop generally, and still maintain a good risk to reward ratio. So I like New Zealand USD a whole lot better. New Zealand USD, again, this is something that you could trade on the 12-hour chart if you wanted to, or on some of the lower time frames, although it's a bit tricky on the lower time frames. But 12-hour chart, you could theoretically put an entry in here. But, you know, I say theoretically for a reason, because this is not something that I'll probably do myself. So I'm just saying what you could do if you wanted to, which fits within the rules of my overall trading strategy. But I take a conservative approach to my trading strategy. So I am probably going to wait for the daily. Now, of course, as things unfold, this might change, and I will post any updates to the forum if I decide to enter earlier. But right now, my thinking for my personal trading is to wait for the daily. That doesn't mean that you have to take the same approach. You might not be as conservative as me when it comes to your risk management. So you could enter on the 12-hour. You could put a entry order in right now up here. And if price starts pushing up and hits your entry order, you'll be in the trade. Your target could go here. Your stop loss could go here. That's not necessarily a bad setup. It's just not as safe as waiting for the daily. But of course, the downside of waiting for the daily is price could turn around today and just start shooting up. And then you've missed out on the trade. So there's always a kind of a trade-up between waiting or getting in early. Getting in early, more likely that you're going to get in on a false move, but waiting is more likely that you're going to miss out on the move completely. I'm going to take the waiting approach on New Zealand USD. Going to see how this daily candle closes, potentially enter tomorrow or on Monday. USD CAD, I was looking for a potential stall up here, which, wait, was that order I was looking for yesterday? Because it was stalled up here. Yeah. So yesterday we were looking for a potential stall up here, but it continued to move up. So it's finally breaking out, which is awesome. Oh, wow. I forgot one thing, guys. One very important thing. Japan has extended its bank holidays for another week or so. Wait, let me check. I've written this down somewhere. I just need to grab my phone. I don't have it with me, so it's kind of important. So just give me a second. I actually have no idea where I've put my phone. I wrote something down on my phone as a note. Japan has extended its bank holidays. I'll see if I can find it elsewhere real quickly. All right, actually, I've got it up here. So Japan has extended its spring vacation called Golden Week from the 27th of April to the 26th of May. Which is kind of important as we're coming up to 6th of May is going to be next week. Right. So it was supposed to end on the 27th of April, as far as I understand, and it's been extended to the 6th of May, which is kind of important because that means that if you're trading during the Asian session, you might get extreme low liquidity, which means you could get crazy swings. So do keep that in mind when you're holding positions overnight if you're a UK or US trader, because that's going to be in the Asian session. If you're mainly trading the Asian session, do keep in mind that we might get some crazy swings, low liquidity. Like an example of what I mean. What can happen during the Asian session when Japan is off on holidays, because Japan is a big part of the market. What can happen is, I can't remember the best example of this. I think AUDJPY was a pretty good example. But this is what happened. Japan was on holidays, got low liquidity, things went a bit crazy, boom, shot down. So keep in mind that this kind of stuff can happen. Maybe not on this scale. This was kind of like a, once every 3, 4, 5 year type event. I doubt it's going to be as big as that, but we could get some of those minor swings. So do keep that in mind, guys. It's kind of important. I forgot to mention that. I can't remember exactly where we were in the order of pairs we were looking at. We did look at USD CAD. I think we were around USD CAD. So yeah, USD CAD shooting up, guys. There's potential for a short once it hits up here. But right now, the only thing I would be looking for on USD CAD would be a pullback for a long here. I think we covered New Zealand USD in detail. I think we'd moved on to USD CAD, hadn't we? USDCHF has shot up. It's already showing signs of stalling out. It's hard to get some good support resistance areas on USDCHF. Like this one, for example, could be placed here. It lines up with that. And if we move back to the left, that's kind of where it's stalling out now. I am looking for a potential short here on USDCHF at some point. I just don't quite think it's ready yet. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on USDCHF for a potential short. So just to review, we've got AUDUSD so far, New Zealand JPY, but AUDUSD I'm not sure about. New Zealand USD, USD CAD, I'm going to unmark this one because it's very far from that resistance area. USD CHF will keep this one marked as a potential because it is close to this resistance area. GBPUSD, there was it broke out of support. It's headed down to this support area here. It's kind of close to the support area and it is moving fast. I wouldn't be surprised if when it hits this support area here, price stalls and we get either brief turnaround moving up or a push all the way back up. So I want to keep a close eye on this. This could happen. It could get down to here today. It is moving quite fast. So there is some potential here. Euro USD has broken below support. What I'm looking for here is a pullback and a continuation, but yeah, it doesn't look like this is going to happen anytime soon. So I'm not going to mark this one as a potential. AUD New Zealand, there's a potential here. Price has broken. Price is trending up pretty strong. Price has dropped down, hit the support area. It looks like it could do something like this, so a kind of continuation trade. Price stalling out on support right now. I'm going to keep a close eye on this for a potential long continuation. There's a lot of potentials going on today. I guess we could look at GBPAUD potential short from this resistance area. This is just kind of like a classic reversal setup. You know, it's okay. It's not a fantastic setup, but it has some potential. GBPJPY has pushed down. It's hitting this support area. I'd be interested in a potential long here if price stalls out. We can see GBPJPY still in a bit of a range. It was in this kind of big range for a little while, but the range is kind of tightening. So we can see it's bouncing from up here now. So I would be interested to see if this support area holds. So again, I'm going to mark this one and wait for price to stall out here. Even on the lower time frames, this one should be fine. So I'm going to keep an eye on the 12-hour, maybe even some of the lower time frames. I want to see if price stalls out here. Now, it could very well break straight through this area. I'm not saying it's going to stall out here 100%. I will look for a long trade if price stalls out here. A lot of stuff happening today. I'm not going to do anything with these others here. All right, so let's do a brief review. USDCHF is headed to resistance. It's already hit resistance, in fact, and it's pulling away. I would prefer for this to push up a bit further, stall out on top of resistance. That way we could get better entry and stop. But there is potential for a short here. We could, on the daily, do something like this. But I just don't consider this that safe. It has a risk to reward ratio of around 2, but yeah, I don't consider this that safe. I'd rather it push up to resistance. That way we could get a better entry, stop loss, and target. So I'm going to wait a little bit on USDCHF for it to push further up. AUDUSD stalling out on top of support. This one's a bit tricky. It just does not have a good risk to reward ratio because resistance is so close up here. So if you were to enter on this candle, you know, you're going to have a horrible risk to reward ratio. What you could do is wait for a smaller time frame setup, but then you'd be risking, you'd still have not a great risk to reward ratio, and you'd be risking getting into a false move. Yeah. I'm not that bothered with AUDUSD, but some of you might be, so we'll keep it on the list. New Zealand JPY stalling out on top of support on the daily, also stalling out on the 12-hour. This one, you can look at it on the 12-hour, the daily, the 6-hour if you want to. I'm leaning towards the daily, but there is also potential on the 12-hour. New Zealand USD, we're pretty much in the same boat. I'm leaning towards waiting for the daily. That way we get a stronger setup. But if you wait for the daily, you might miss out on a move. So ultimately, it's up to you which time frame you decide to trade it on. I'm a more conservative trader, so I'm going to wait for the daily. Most likely, that might change, and I will post to the forum if it changes. But you could potentially enter this on the 12-hour using basically what I've laid out here would be a generic, decent entry stop loss target. So just these numbers here. Yeah, GBPUSD price is pushing down to this support area. It's not there yet, but it is moving quite fast. So I will keep this one as a potential. So what I'm looking for here is price to drop down to the support area and give us a pullback, kind of like it did here. That's what I'm waiting for. It's a decent support area. It has some bounces in the past, as you can see, so it's a decent support area. So I want to see what happens when price hits that support, but right now it's not there yet. So AUD New Zealand stalling out on support right now after this big strong move up. So we could be seeing a continuation of this move. So how I would normally trade that would be having an entry there, stop loss around here. Initial target would be at the highest point it reached, but obviously with any continuation, you can extend that target far beyond. It's not a fantastic setup, but it has some potential. I'm going to wait for this one on the daily also. GBPAUD stalling out on resistance. There's potential for a short here. This is just the kind of classic reversal setup. It hasn't closed yet, so something like that, roughly. That's a very rough guesstimate. You could enter on the 12-hour if you want to, same as what I said earlier. I'll probably just wait for the daily. I want to see if price stalls out here, and then there's potential for a short. And GBPJPY finally, I just want to see if price stalls on the support area. There's potential for a long there. We'll just have to see if it does stall. It could very well go straight through. So that pretty much wraps it up for the analysis. But that is a lot of stuff to look at today. Pretty good Thursday. If we didn't have Easter Monday, then I think things would have been like this on Wednesday instead of Thursday, which meant we could have been in trades in some of these trades by today. But Easter Monday was basically an extended weekend. Which means the markets only really got back to normal on Tuesday. So things are a little bit behind this week is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, guys, is there any questions? Yeah, maybe platinum is going into a range. This is a long-term trade though, so it doesn't really matter that much to me. It could be. I'm just holding on to it. Like when I got into this trade, I was planning on potentially holding for several months. So it's on a different account because I wouldn't want to tie up funds on my main account. It's on a different account. This is just sitting in the background for me, and just gonna leave it. NZDUSD on the 4-hour. What about it? I honestly do not see any sort of range here. I'm not sure. Can you ask in the forum, please? That way you can put up an image and show me what you're thinking, because I don't really see a range here. where price is stalling now. Yeah, maybe it's a bit of, there's a bit of support there. And just this one up a bit. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's not that. You could say the support there, but this whole area is just an absolute mess of support resistance. There's support here too. Support there, support here. There's support resistance everywhere. It's more just like congestion throughout this whole area. The major bounces are here and here. I don't know. It's just not a very clean area. Any other questions, guys? Yeah, there's a lot of decent stuff happening. A lot of it is wait and see type stuff, though. The only one that's kind of close to triggering right now would be AUD New Zealand. But that one's not even that strong. There's a lot of good stuff happening, no doubt, but yeah, a lot of it, because it's a, like I said, because of Easter Monday, things are just a bit further back than they should be, a bit less developed. So trades that should be triggering today, or maybe even last night, late last night, are not triggering today. They're gonna have not triggered yet, essentially. We should potentially be in some of these trades already, but things are just catching up. But anyway, guys, it looks like there's no more questions, so I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys for attending, and I'll see you for the next analysis on Monday. On Tuesday, rather. But we do have a webinar on Sunday on trading psychology. So I'll see you guys soon.